But yeah, what are we talking about?
Yeah, so we thought today we could just, should we check to see if it's recording?
Did you not? Welcome back, everybody, to the CreativeKrunch podcast. And you might be looking behind us here and saying, dang, these guys' office looks pretty spectacular. But that's the Pacific Ocean behind us. We're in San Diego.
Gray's Lake.
Oh, sorry. That's Gray's Lake. We're actually in Des Moines.
Dude, there's a
secret, huh?
There's a kayak right there. They can't see that. Maybe they can.
Is there actually a kayak?
No, it's just that huge barge boat over there.
Oh, you're joking. Okay. Well, yeah, so welcome to Gray's Lake. We decided to do the old podcast here today. Just spice things up a little bit.
Yeah.
But in reality, where are we?
Ocean Beach, California.
Yeah. San Diego, California. And we're here filming some stuff for Grace Troutman, Grace T Photography. You can talk more on that.
Yeah. She reached out and said, hey, you want to film a promo video for my retreat? So yeah, that's what we're doing here. Should be a lot of fun. We're going to do a sunset and sunrise session.
Next 2 days. Film some of the lectures and all that stuff. Already filmed a little bit this morning of just Grace, kind of like a branding session almost, you'd call it.
But then we're going to work the next 2 days. Go to the coffee shop and work and edit.
Got a lot of editing to do. But anyways, yeah, so welcome here to San Diego with us. We're hyped that you guys could make the trip out here.
Yeah, thanks for coming.
Our big audience, live audience today too. But yeah, what are we talking about?
Yeah, so we thought today we could just, should we check to see if it's recording?
Did you not?
All right, we're good.
Okay. Yeah, probably a good thing to check that it's recording.
All right, so today we're talking about, we figured we'd try to do something useful, something that people might actually find helpful or to hear our advice.
Yes.
Opinions on specific wedding things.
So we're going to talk a little bit about different wedding trends that we like, that we have seen, and maybe some of the more non-traditional type wedding things that we kind of what's get down with.
Yeah.
We get down with these non-traditional things, but to kick it off.
Well, first let's let's explain that what we say.
Yeah.
We go to a lot of weddings.
Yes, we have been to very, very, very many weddings.
And so we're kind of biased as far as okay, we've seen a lot of these. So most of the time people are seeing this for the first time, or they saw it at one wedding. So then they think it'd be awesome to do it at their wedding. So basically we're saying we are not telling you what you have to do, and you don't have to listen to us at all. This is just what we've seen and what we like. And maybe if we can, it's getting really bright. Was that an auto exposure? It'll be fine. Okay. It was underexposed. Okay. But I'm going to be honest with you. Oh, okay. I thought I deleted the whole note on accident. Okay, so anyway, so you don't have to listen to anything we say. This is just what we've seen and what we've liked. Doesn't have to be what you like and what you want to do. And anything we say, maybe if we say we don't like it, that doesn't mean you don't have to do it. It's just kind of our opinions, and we want to share those. And maybe it'll help someone who's planning a wedding be like, oh, that's actually a cool idea that I never really thought of. So yeah, basically, before we get in, it's just you got to do what you want to do and make sure you know what's important to you on a wedding day, and then you'll have a good wedding day. But these are just some fun things that we've seen and we like. And the reasons why. So Ben, kick it off. All right. So
let's start off with. I think it's first of all, it's good to see. We're liking that we're seeing less traditional things at weddings. So, not going to a wedding and not necessarily doing everything that you saw someone else do. So, like, maybe you guys just aren't the type that wants to do cake cutting. That's totally fine. Nix it. Maybe you don't want to do a first dance with your parents. So you just do a first dance with yourself. So just
by yourself. And now for the bride dance.
The groom dance. It's like a talent show. Now rate who's the better dancer.
Yeah.
There's an idea. That's what we're saying. Like, do less traditional stuff.
Yeah. Just I mean, obviously, if you want to have a very traditional wedding, you go for it, you do it, and it's awesome. Like, there's nothing wrong with it. But like Ben said before, we've just seen so many. So, yeah, let's kind of jump into some of the more non-traditional kind of trends we've seen and that we've liked. I'm going to have to share your phone because I don't know where mine is. It's probably in the Grays Lake.
Great Grays Lake.
It's probably way out there in the middle.
Okay, so one thing, I mean, this is not in any chronological order. Like, we're not starting from the beginning of the day to the end. They were just kind of going off stuff we listed immediately. One thing that we're loving to see more recently is when couples will do their first dance after everything else. It's like the very last formal thing.
So when instead of, I think the traditional way that people do it is bridegroom, father-daughter, and then mother-son. So the way we like to kind of see it, and we can touch on why, is maybe mother-daughter or mother-son, father-daughter, and then bride and groom at the end. Just because when it's at the end, I don't know, it just kind of like sets the tone for the rest of the night almost.
Yeah, and the bride and groom are already on the dance floor. So as soon as that song ends, if the DJ can jump right into that first party song, one of those songs that just gets everybody on the dance floor, it can be super exciting.
Yeah, and I think that another thing, the reason, like you said, it keeps the bride and groom on the dance floor. And then when the bride and groom are on the floor, everyone else is going to kind of surround you guys. So what happens, what we see a lot at weddings is maybe the bride and groom will leave and then start talking to groups of tables or groups of other people, and then the dance floor kind of dies down. But those couples that really like to dance and party, like, I lost my train of thought.
Yeah, I think that makes sense.
Basically, if the bride and groom are on the dance floor, the rest will come. You will have a good dance floor. That's sick. Wouldn't that be a sick photo of that plane flying through the clouds?
Yeah.
that reminds me of that Travis and Joni reel that blew up the groom.
Airplane.
Shout out Travis.
All right. All right.
We're rusty in our new office here.
Okay, another one that we think is really fun. So I think one of the most overhyped things is wedding party entrances. Now, it's totally cool if you want to do them, but I feel like rarely have I gone, like, maybe I can count on one hand out of the 150 plus weddings I've been to where I got done seeing a reception entrance and the energy like was just perfect for everybody.
Right. So I think something that we've seen that kind of keeps the energy high and alive is if your entire wedding party enters together and stays collectively either on the dance floor or somewhere to greet the bride and groom when they come in, and it just...
And they kind of help, besides them, so they're not like seated already. They stay on the dance floor and they can kind of hype the crowd up for the couple.
Yeah. It brings a whole another level of energy and excitement to when the bride and groom enter.
Yeah, the bride and groom have like a landing place rather than an empty dance floor.
Right.
They have a place that they're like going into the huddle to like...
It's like, yeah, we're here, man, let's party.
Yeah, right before that final Hail Mary.
Yeah. But I think the thing that is cool about it, and obviously if you don't do that, doesn't mean people aren't going to be excited for you. But when your party enters together, that's a whole lot of energy all at once. So sometimes there's probably other people in your wedding party that might be able to carry the energy a little bit better than when you're walking in individually as the group you did when you're walking down the ceremony.
Yeah, because some of your wedding party members are going to be shy.
Yeah, they might not have that pizzazz to them.
So it may be uncomfortable for them.
Right. So, and then when you do it as a group, everyone's a little more comfortable because there's a lot more people doing it. The energy's higher, like we've probably said 1,000 times. I feel like we've said energy 18,000 million times. Energy. Say energy as deep as you can.
Energy.
Ooh.
I think mine was just ratchet.
Ratchet?
Energy.
Also, side note, we heard some. We won't go into what they were saying, but we heard some California residents that live outside of our hotel getting a little spat this morning, and it kind of sounded like a breakup. And
to drop Shrek into the equation at one point.
like being an ogre and Shrek and
a lot of other
doing
explicit words.
very explicit that we won't get into. But I don't know what made me think of that. Ratchet, probably the word ratchet made me. But
their argument was just so
it was
ridiculous.
It was really exciting. Probably my favorite part of the trip so far. But anyway, California residents that live outside of our hotel. I think that's nailed it on the head.
Another one. So first looks. Sometimes we go to weddings and I think people think that they have to do all of these first looks. Like you have to do a bridesmaid's reveal. You have to do a father-daughter. You have to do a brother first look or groomsman first look. You don't have to do it. If that's not you, you don't have to do those.
And that, and that kind of comes back to listing things that are important to you. So like, obviously, if you're doing a first look with your future husband or wife, obviously that's important. Okay. But say maybe you and your dad have a good relationship, but maybe it's just not your dad's scene or not your scene to do a first look with your dad. Like it's not necessary if it's not for you.
Yeah. And sometimes that stuff can just feel too staged, especially when you start adding first look after first look after first look. It's eventually like, okay, you do a first look. All right, now everyone hide. We got to hide the bride one more time. Everyone get back into position. It just eventually it becomes very consuming.
Yeah, it takes a lot of energy to do all that different things, to hide people, all that stuff, and it's very time consuming as well. You got
to have the right balance. Like, do you want to waste your whole day doing first looks? Now it's not a waste. I guess.
Not a waste. Do you want to spend a lot of energy and time and focus into doing those first looks? Or do you want to pick a few other things that you would like to put that energy, that time into, where to make it spectacular versus trying to fit all these different things into an already extremely tight schedule? But yeah, you can do first looks with whoever you want, but just make sure it's important to you. Don't do it just because you have to.
Yeah, don't do it because you saw someone else do it. It's like, you don't have to. Heck, do a first look with your
videographer.
yeah, there we go. Do a first look with your videographer. Okay, another thing.
We're just pumping through these.
I mean, we've only gone through 3 so far.
Okay.
Another other thing. I feel like lately we've seen
another other thing. Is that right?
Another other thing.
No, it'd be another thing or other thing. Another other. I think that's what you said. Another other
thing.
Another
other thing.
Got the pods for the Sarah.
Pods for Sarah. We've seen this going away more frequently is the garter and bouquet toss. Sometimes you'll do those, and like not very many people are watching, or it can just sometimes feel uncomfortable in different situations. But sometimes like people are just cheering like crazy.
Yeah, I think it's kind of a thing if you know your crowd too. Like if you know for the bouquet toss, if you know your girls, your single girls are gonna be like, let's go, let's get this thing. Then it's a little bit more fun, but sometimes it does feel a little bit forced and feels like a little bit like, well, everyone else does this, we should do this. So just another thing of like, make sure it's something you actually want to do. Because I mean, they can be exciting, but they can also kind of be a buzzkill. I have seen some dance floors die because it's time to do the bouquet toss and the garter toss and things like that. So yeah.
Yeah.
And again, take everything we're saying with a grain of salt. This is what we've seen.
Yeah, do a garter bouquet toss. I know we've seen sometimes grooms will get iced when they do the bouquet toss or garter, whatever.
Do the
Garter.
grab the garter when there's ice in the garter,
Yeah.
but yeah, I like that. Like we said, they can be exciting, but they can also kind of be a buzzkill. So it's more if you understand your group of people, maybe
I think
you can.
the other thing with that is the DJ usually has to plan the events of the night, like balance out the amount of like fast songs, slow songs, and how to properly time songs so that they keep people on the dance floor.
Right.
And so sometimes planning those events is going to interrupt the flow of the dance floor. So like maybe the dance floor was popping and then they go into garter toss and then it takes another hour for people to slowly start mingling back to the dance floor. Mm-hmm. So it's important to note of all the events that you want to plan after the first dance, I guess.
Yeah, I think with that, like especially at a reception, the best way to think about it is like how, if you want a big dance floor, like a big party, it's what if a bird just shit on us?
That'd be pretty good.
That'd actually be hilarious. Speaking of the bird video, that would go.
Flash that one. Yeah.
But yeah, a good way to think of. Did you just burp?
Yeah.
Nice. Yeah, you can come down this way if you want. If you need to,
There's
you
an
can.
easy
Yeah,
way
you
right
can
there.
come right down here. If you want to hop on our podcast too, you can.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's go.
Make some room for. All right, go that way.
Also, every once in a while, just peeking to see if it's red.
Look how dirty my.
And now time from. Yeah, get it. Yeah.
Sponsor, yeah.
Is it red?
Yeah. Kind of hard to tell. Yeah, it's red.
All right, and we're back.
What? Thanks, sponsors.
Do you think it was Anchor?
Probably. What were we talking about? Oh, okay. So I think the number one way you want to keep in mind your schedule for the reception. So if you want a big dance party and you want a lot of people on the dance floor, something you got to keep in mind, kind of like Ben said, is how are you going to get and keep the most people on the floor at once? So those things like the garter toss, the bouquet toss, the shoe game, for example, other things that take the dance floor completely away. It takes a long time for that to build back up. So if you want to do those things, maybe a nice piece of advice is like do them early, just to make sure when your dance floor is bumping, as the young one says, it stays that way. Because I can't count the amount of times that I've seen a fun, energetic dance floor die because it was time to switch gears into something else. But if you're not the party kind of scene and you don't want a huge dance floor, like obviously don't listen to what we're saying. I'm going to get comfortable here.
Yeah.
I feel like your elbow's in my way.
Let me see if I can see my framing. I see a shadow.
Yeah.
So right there's the third line.
Hey, guys.
So I'm gonna move over to the third line right there.
All right.
The exposure is probably terrible. So I'm sorry.
Yeah, but I think if it's at least exposed for the ocean behind us.
Oh, actually, I feel like with my glasses off, it's not terrible. I literally can't see. We're like,
Yeah,
that's probably like 8 feet.
As long as they can see the cliff and the ocean behind us, I think no one wants to look at us.
Watch. What if it's not recording?
You already checked twice.
Yeah, but sometimes I feel like I hallucinate. You're right. Like you get home and you realize you never hit record.
At all day. I don't even want to joke
Like
about
you
that.
don't even have one clip.
You'd have to do something terribly wrong. Terribly wrong. Anyway.
Yeah. All right, so. Oh, okay, one thing that I feel like I've seen recently, and I think it's kind of fun, is doing. So, when I look at weddings, when you look at a very traditional event wedding, there's things that I feel like certain parents don't have roles in. So, like, the groom's dad doesn't really have a ton of roles in the wedding. So, like, when we're trying to get shots of the groom's dad throughout the day, one of the only times we see him really doing things is when he's walking down the aisle. and then the groom hugs him as he takes a seat. Or even like the bride's mom, she'll get to like help put the dress on maybe, but like that's like really all we get. So like it's kind of fun when we'll see like, oh, maybe a mother-daughter dance.
Yeah.
And it's honestly a father-son dance would be kind of sweet. That'd be kind of awesome.
It'd be kind of funny. Or just thinking of different ways to maybe include them a little bit more. So obviously the easy one would be have your dad help you get ready as a groom, or have your mom help you get ready. That's pretty standard. But
yeah, we saw a sister dance, bride and her sister dance.
Bride, sister, yeah.
That's super cool.
Yeah, just thinking of other ways to incorporate the other people that are really important to you. So maybe that's your maid of honor, your best man, your sisters, whoever. Just kind of brainstorming, being creative. Like, how can we incorporate them into our special day?
Yeah, try not to look at weddings and being like, where can I get my inspiration from? Yeah, that's a great starting point.
Right.
But then, I don't know, watch movies, watch events, and seeing where you can get inspiration.
Yeah, you definitely want to just do what you can to make it your own. I think there's a lot of people out there these days that, especially with TikTok, that see all of these trends going on, and they're like, let's fit every single one of these that we've seen into our wedding. And that's really hard to do. That's hard to execute, and it just fills the day with so much stuff where it's tough. It's like it's a long day, and the last thing you want to be like, obviously you're going to be tired at the end of your day, but you don't want to feel drained. You don't want to feel like you did too much. You want to be tired from the celebrating, the excitement, the love, not because, oh, I think we did a few too many things.
Yeah, you don't want it to feel too much like a formal, like, yeah, it's an event, but it's more of like a celebration and not like I don't even know, a play. It's not a,
I don't know if a play is the right way. It's a celebration. It's not a show. Maybe?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, you're entertaining your guests and they're celebrating with you. But there's too many formal things can kind of be too, like, there needs to be a perfect balance.
Yeah.
Kind of like writing a pros and cons list. Put down the things that are...
And I've said it once, and I'll say it again, and cannot express it enough. It's so important that you, as the couple, know what's important to you. Because if you have a clear expectation and a clear vision on what you want and what's truly, truly, truly important to you, you can have a lot of things that are important to you, but the top 5, top 10 things, then you can put all that focus into those things, and it will make your day go wonderfully and exciting and easy. And you'll be excited because you had a list of what you really wanted and you nailed those things, but just make sure it's not too much.
Yeah.
Light check. Next.
One thing that we've seen, it's kind of been coming up more frequently, is when they'll do an outfit change for the reception. It's more of an informal outfit. Like, they'll have a really elegant, like, try best not to get dirty dress for, like, the ceremony and the very formal stuff. But then once the party starts, they're like, yo, we're going to get comfy.
Yeah. I think that's something so important, too. Like, not that I know what a wedding dress is comfort level is, but, like, being comfortable towards the end of the night. Being able to, like, move around and not be hot. And so always an outfit change. Just, one, it's exciting, and it adds a little spice to your videos and photos. Like, oh man, you're wearing something completely different. But two, I mean, it's probably everyone that we've seen looks a little bit more comfy than the big old train and all that stuff.
Yeah, and it doesn't have to be 2 separate wedding dresses or 2 separate expensive tailored jackets.
It could be like a jumpsuit, like a white jumpsuit that you put on after.
Yeah, heck, maybe you have sweatpants that are like personalized or something.
You could rock some white sweatpants, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, very informal. Get a dress from Amazon that's just more, I don't know, slim and more easy to move around.
Yeah. And guys, like a different jacket, maybe a shirt, shoes. An exciting shirt, shoes. I've seen some guys cut off their dress pants to make them shorts. Do whatever you gotta do.
Yeah.
Whatever you gotta do.
All right. Reception table layouts. So when I first started doing weddings, I feel like a lot of people just did like the very, like, I think when you're looking at your event, you're thinking, how can I fit as many tables in here? So you're like, I'm gonna just put the wedding party against the wall. Where, I mean, that's fine if you're really going for how many you can fit into a specific spot, but like presentation wise, I think presentation and I think the way people will remember your event, I think the layout is best if you're kind of in the center. Maybe you're a sweetheart table by yourself, so you're kind of the main focus.
Yeah.
Or a king's table.
I think, the two table setups that we really like for either setting the focus on you guys more or even for toast setups, which I think we might talk about in a little bit, is the king's table, which is you have the long table in the middle, so it's vertical instead of horizontal, and you guys are at the end with your wedding party, at the rest of the chairs. I think that's kind of unique and special. You don't see that a whole lot. And then obviously the sweetheart table, where it's just a table for you two, where you can enjoy your dinner and enjoy your time. Because quite frankly, on your wedding day, you don't get a whole lot of time by yourself. Sadly, you don't get a whole lot of time to spend with just the two of you. Obviously,
especially if you put too many events.
Yeah, especially with the too many event things like we talked about. But obviously, you have a lifetime. But it's so important to also take some time between the two of you. You don't have to be surrounded by everyone 24/7 on your wedding day. You can do like a sweetheart table or something where it just kind of separates you from everyone else. You've actually had a couple do a private dinner, which is pretty unique too, where they
completely room by themselves.
Completely went into a different room and had dinner with each other, which I think that's super important and super cool. But.
One thing that I love to see that I've only seen at a couple weddings is when they do like a pedal toss at their ceremony exit. So like they usually will have to get the officiant to like announce it, like, hey, you have some flower petals at like right next to your chair at the end of the ceremony. When the couple exits, could they toss the petals up? And I think that can be really cool for photo and video. But again, that's like a formal thing that you have to fit into the ceremony.
It's not something you really need to squeeze in. It's more of like we have this stuff for you to, I don't know.
It's just a nice touch.
You're going to walk down the aisle regardless, right? It's not that you're adding that. You're just adding your guests kind of throw those things. Whether those are flower petals, I've seen bubbles, or even some almost like confetti type stuff. I don't think it was actually like colorful confetti, but it was like silver or gold or something. But yeah, that's always fun, and it adds a little flavor to your photos and your video.
Yeah. I think I feel like there's a shift into people doing more intimate weddings. And so I think knowing that you can tell your parents that you don't need to invite 350 people. Like maybe you want to do an intimate ceremony with just like 30 people, and then maybe you do a reception and then the next day. So the other thing with ceremonies, I feel like ceremonies are very scripted events, and I don't think they need to be. So like you don't have to, like the groom doesn't have to walk the parents down. Here's an idea. The parents, it's like a formal thing where like the parents walk down themselves, and it'll be like, oh, the bride's parents, the groom's parents, the wedding party, and then at the very end, the couple, and then the couple enters their ceremony together.
Yeah, I think that's
that'd be sick. That'd be really cool.
That'd be really cool. Entering together, I think, would just be like one of probably the more unique things we've ever seen, which is pretty cool. Or even I've seen like the bride walk in on her, like by herself, walk down the aisle by herself. Or even the dad will walk her like halfway, and then she'll walk the rest of it. I don't know.
And I imagine your parents will be like, oh my gosh, but I wanted to walk you down the aisle. And just tell them like, hey, we can actually do something even more special than that.
Right. Because that's special, but it's also just walking them to sit down. Like, it's special in its own way because it's the ceremony, but I think there's some other things you could come up with that might be a little bit more.
Yeah.
I don't want to say special again, but all I got is special.
You do an intimate, like maybe your parents write you letters, or you write your parents letters.
Yeah, reading letters to, yeah.
Yeah, just don't feel like it has to follow a specific script. And I'd say make sure your officiant knows that as well. You don't have to do a unity ceremony. You don't have to do personal vows. We always love personal vows, but if that's not you, that's totally fine.
Yeah.
But to break off of that, we also love when we can get personal audio from the couple.
Yeah, that could be a whole nother podcast in itself, talking about why it's so important to have those personal moments and those personal touches, and whether that's letters, vows, gifts, whatever.
Your wedding should be a day where you can be vulnerable with showing your love for the other person.
Yeah, I've had couples or like grooms be like, I don't want to read letters to each other because I don't want to cry. But like, dude, it's okay if you cry on your wedding day, man. It is a special day that's supposed to be full of emotion and romance and all that stuff. But yeah, I mean, we keep just going in this list, and it just always comes down to you just got to do what you want to do. Make sure it's authentic to who you are as a couple, rather than what your parents want it to be, or what.
It's a day to express your love for the other person.
And everyone's love is a little different, and I think it's important that you express it in that way. Like, what's important to you guys? Like, is it super cool to be out here on a cliff? Like, go get married out on a cliff, like with the ocean and stuff. Like, you can literally, what the coolest thing about weddings is you can do it however you want to do it. And I think that's very, very cool. Very special.
Yeah. Another thing that we've seen is live painters. That's something new. It's not new. It's been around for a little while, but
we saw it for the first time at an Iowa wedding.
Yeah, and it was cool. We were there like all day. They kind of started by painting the reception stuff, and then they during their first dance added the bride and groom dancing
and family members,
and they were literally there until the very end of the night.
Very end. It was very cool, very, very artsy, very creative, and that's something very sweet that you can hang up in your house in the future. And like, I don't know, there's something about a painting. I don't know, maybe it's just because you could call us artists, but maybe it's just because it's an art thing rather than like a photo. I think there's just something a little bit different. It hits a little different.
Yeah.
But yeah, the live painting is really, really cool. But is that everything?
Last one I think we could talk about is how you plan to end your reception. But this is something you probably need to know your guests and what they're like. Because what we see a lot is people will end their receptions at like midnight, and there may only be
20 people.
Yeah, and so the send-off can be a little less climactic. It can be sort of like a dwindle out sort of ending. Whereas like if you decide, hey, I'm going to end my reception at 10 p.m., so that means you get like 2.5 hours of dancing and partying, and a lot more people will be around when you exit, so it can be like a really big send-off. But like we've had weddings before where it does go till midnight, and there's still like 150 people there.
Yeah, I think that just comes down to knowing your family, knowing your friends.
Most of the time, though, when they go till midnight, a lot of people have already left.
I'd say 90%. Yeah, 90% of the couples that we film.
Even some of the wedding party members.
Yeah.
If not everybody can stay all the way till the end.
Right. So if you want to do like a big exit or have everyone there for the end, maybe move that time up a little bit. I think 10:30 might be the sweet spot. You still might lose maybe a few grandparents if they head out, or some other family members' kids maybe. But yeah. Also, I'll throw in a wild card. Something that I love: kid-free weddings. Not having a kid, not having kids at weddings.
I feel like kids can scare people away from the dance floor, but if your like whole vibe is like kids, like yes. than
Yeah.
bring kids.
Absolutely. If it's hard, it's hard because it's individual to each person, like whatever. But one, not even for just like photo and video wise, having a kid-free wedding is nice because we don't have to worry about us actually running into a kid or a kid running into our equipment or playing with our equipment. We've had all that kind of stuff happen. But also, yeah, kids seem to kind of take over towards at least the beginning of the reception, at least on the dance floor. And
Yeah, and kids will be running around during like the first dance, and they'll just run right by the bride and groom.
yeah,
It's kind of hard to control them.
and I love kids. I think
And it's a good excuse for people to
have a date night, get out and celebrate, and you don't need, get a babysitter, go out and have fun and celebrate someone, and
Yeah, if they don't have to have their kids there, then they're much more likely to let loose.
let loose, have a few drinks, hit the dance floor.
Now we don't have kids, so we can't even talk.
Right, but someone is gonna.
Soon.
And
I'll be
it's
an
been-
expert here in February.
Yeah, we'll do a podcast probably in 4 years where we talk about how much Ben has changed. But
That would actually be, honestly,
Be
kids and how to own a business.
I just sit there and ask you questions. Anyway, but yeah, you can obviously have kids at your wedding. Don't be like, oh, we want. Sometimes you have like family members that are kids that you're close to, but I think a sweet age would be like 16 and up. Even you don't even need 16. Maybe do an 18 and up.
I
But
like that.
yeah. Well, cool.
All right, so how do we end it?
Should we ask these guys what inspires them?
No.
Why?
Yeah, you can ask them.
But well, they're gonna come up on us anyway. So yeah, we usually end it with something that's inspired us, and I mean, I think a super easy one right now is like where we are right now. Like, it's hard to beat. It's pretty inspiring. Looking back, seeing this. To me, that's inspiring, at least. Traveling, seeing new things, experiencing new things, renting a charger,
Oh, gosh, yeah.
The car rental place gave us a charger of all cars, so that's been
fun.
That's been exciting to zip around in.
For me, you're probably you taking your boot off and being like, F it. No boot today. I'll take the pain.
Yeah,
It's worth the free mobility.
that's inspiring to you.
Yeah, and then watching you just hobble around and say, I paid for this. This is my fault.
So a little context there. I don't think anyone knows. I have a stress fracture in my foot, so I have a crack on the left side of my bone in my left foot, and I wear a boot now sometimes, just kind of for more of a comfort thing. But like when we're walking on the beach or here, I don't really want that on because one, probably easier to fall, but two, just having that freedom. But I'm cool. I'm good. Kind of cracked my bone. No big deal. Be good in a few weeks. But
Yeah.
I'm glad that's inspiring to you.
Yeah.
But yeah, so thanks for tuning in to the Creative Crunch podcast. Thanks for those of you who flew out for our live audience. And
Yeah.
yeah, woo!
Like cheering sound.
Yeah. But yeah, hope this is the coolest location we ever filmed. Actually, I hope it's not. But maybe we'll bring a guest out to a really sick location one time. Let us know if you want to be a guest. Shout out Travis.
Shout out Travis.
And yeah, that's it. Thanks for watching. Throw your hat at the.
Got it.